Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and it is way past time for more Scuttlebutt. This week's game in the background brought to you by Tier 10 American cruiser USS Worcester. I had an old Halsey campaign objective several weeks ago that I was trying to finish up, and so I found myself playing a chunk of games in Worcester and or Des Moines, her heavy cruiser counterpart. And I literally stumbled into this game in Worcester. This is not a ship that I play very often. It's not even a ship that I particularly enjoy, if I'm 100% honest. If I want to take a light cruiser or light radar cruiser at tier 10, I will almost always reach for HMS Minotaur in the British Tree, because I just love that ship. She's trolly, she's fun. There's just so many things going for her. Worcester, on the other hand, is a ship that it's never really clicked with me for some reason. The American light cruiser line in general has got a lot of great things about it. I love, for example, Dallas back at tier 6. Helen at tier 7 is quite good. You can get good work out of Cleveland at tier 8. But tier 9, of course, Seattle is like, those gun angles on the stern turrets just make me want to punch babies. And then there's this ship. And this Worcester is not a bad ship by any stretch, but it's just something about this ship has never clicked with me. So I was really surprised myself this game to get the result I did, and, well, see for yourself. Enjoy. So, what is there to talk about in shooty boats? It's been a while since I've done one of these guys, and I'm not gonna lie, some of it is... And this ordinarily I sit down and write a script for one of these videos, right? I list out all the little bullet points that I want to talk about and all the things that I want to hit, and I'm not really doing that today. I'm literally just sitting in front of a microphone. This is kind of stream of consciousness. So you're going to get a lot of weird stuff today, and a lot of it's going to be boats related, but some of it's just going to be general kind of state of the channel things related. I've been struggling a bit the last few weeks, right? Like not with World of Warships, because I'm still loving the game, but more like just life in general, right? We've now been on this lockdown thing, the whole, stay in your home, be afraid, be horrified, stay afraid, for like what now? For like 4 months? And man, it's just it's irritating. I'm tired of turning on the television or booting up my Facebook feed to see what's going on with my friends and my family, and it's just non-stop fear. Be afraid, stay afraid. I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of it. It's wearing me down and honestly, I'm reached a point where it's making me angry. So I've kind of been a little unmotivated to do much for the YouTube channel this week. That's one reason you've seen a lot of replays, a lot of the stuff off the Twitch channel has kind of been the only like original content that I've done this week. And some of it's just because the motivation hasn't been there, guys. And that's not your fault, and I apologize for that. But it just is what it is, and you guys deserve to know what's going on. And some of that's because I have to give a huge shout out to everybody who's kind of joined the channel in the last couple of weeks. I've had more subscribers kind of just generically in the last few weeks than I think I've seen in a really long time. 2 weeks ago, I had over like 150 new subs in 1 week. In 1 week. For me, guys, that's unheard of, right? It took me like a year to get 1,000 subs. And suddenly in the last 2 to 3 weeks, things have just been, well, a little longer than that, but just been steady, right? I used to have stretches, even earlier this year, where I could go a whole week and only get like 3 new subs, right? But like a slow day lately has been 6 to 10 to 12 new subscribers in a single day, which for me used to be like big numbers. That was a big deal. So I just want to say thank you, guys. I want a huge shout out to everybody who subscribes, who shows up, who watches whatever it is that I do around here. I really do appreciate it, guys. This is not a job for me. I do this, like some of the content creators we have in the Warships community. This is a hobby. I do it because I love the game. I do it because I think the community deserves what I hope is a balanced and reasonable viewpoint on the game. Because I see a lot of people out there making YouTube videos that kind of have their own agenda. And I won't pretend that I don't have my own biases. Everybody has biases. We were having this conversation on the NA forums a few weeks ago. There was a really good thread going around about, hey, I'm looking for some CCs. Who do people recommend? And I had a few people drop in. I didn't solicit this, obviously, but they dropped in and they were recommending me, and I was a little humbled by that. I was like, well, I'm humbled and surprised to see my name on this list. And I went into this thread, and I saw a lot of people talking about, you know, there was a non-zero undercurrent of people talking about CCs that they were frustrated with because they had kind of let their own prejudices and biases kind of color their own content and how the game worked and everything. And I was like, well, you know, it may be a little unfair, right? We're all human, right? Everybody's going to have their own biases, and that's going to color how they look at things. I said, but to me, the key is understanding that. What I told them was that to me, one of the key things is when you go to watch somebody on YouTube, you know, especially if it's game content and it's a game like Warships where there's, you know, different classes, different mechanics, does the person creating the content understand their own biases? Are they aware that they have them, and that's going to impact how they approach things, how they view the game, how they view certain classes or mechanics or whatever? And I feel like in the Warships community, we have people on both sides of that fence. I like to think that I see that, right? I know that I am a cruiser and destroyer fanboy, right? I know that about myself. Whenever I pick up a battleship, 9 times out of 10, it's like, well, all right, I'll do this, but I don't particularly care for it. There are a few battleships in the game that I really enjoy, but by and large, if you hit me a cruiser or destroyer, I'm in. Let's do this. But a battleship to me is like, I want more of a challenge than this, right? And then of course the carrier is the most polarizing class of anything any game I've ever played in my 40-something years, right? I've never seen a community so frothing at the mouth, rabid about carriers in this game. And that's one of the things I want to talk about. This is kind of a bit of a segue here, right? And there's a lot of content on YouTube that is horribly biased against carriers, on Twitch as well. People like actively promoting griefing other players just because they've opted to play an aircraft carrier. And I'm kind of, I see that and I just roll my eyes. Like, guys, this is not okay. This is never okay, right? Well, now, I'll say this, right? There's been some forum posts, and I've seen some content on Twitch. Some guys, you know, they create the carrier hunting divs, right? Like Euro had a video about it, the 889 or the 998 div with the Musashis. I've seen some guys now that are doing like double Aki and Kid or double Kid and Akizuki, you know, like hunting carriers. To me, from where I sit, that's valid, right? You're doing something within the mechanics of the game that is allowed. You are creating a little div or a little group that is there to, you know, I don't want to say grief the other player because that's not fair. Let's say counter the carrier, right? To me, that's totally permissible. And if wargaming is going to make a big deal out of that, then I feel like there's a bigger conversation to be had there, because people using the tools that are available them to in-game to actively counter or, you know, fight back against a class or a mechanic that they don't like should be totally allowed, okay? And if wargaming doesn't like that, they need to change the mechanics, all right? Period. Flat, end of discussion. That's where that needs to stay. However, I do see people talking about, oh, report every carrier player you see, or team kill every carrier player you see, or whatever. Guys, that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous, right? Come on. You're better than this, okay? Stop acting like you're 4. That attitude just frustrates the hell out of me, right? There's a lot of valid and worthy criticisms still to the way carriers interact and work in World of Warships. I will be the first to admit this. I will also be the first to admit that I enjoy playing carriers, right? I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not going to stop playing carriers because somebody else thinks that I should. Nobody in this game ever gets to tell me how I'm going to have fun. And that should go for everybody, right? If you enjoy playing carrier, I don't care who you are, what age you are, whatever, the community should not get to tell you how to have fun. Period. End of discussion, okay? If you enjoy it, go play it, enjoy it. That needs to be the end of that discussion, okay? However, if you're on the other side of that coin, if you don't like carriers, okay, or if you think they don't belong in the game or whatever, you know, like, to me, you have a couple of options. One is suck it up and deal, okay? Put on your big boy panties and either play the game as it is or stop, right? Like, you can also just stop. That's another valid option. You can just say, you know what, this is driving me out of the game. I've had enough. I don't want to deal with it. I'm gone. Okay, that's fine too. But I just the idea of I'm miserable. I hate this mechanic so much. I'm going to actively log in and harass and grief people who play the game as designed by the guys who designed it. Like, they're not doing anything wrong. They're not cheating. They're not hacking. Like, they're just playing the game. And you think that this is okay to log in and harass and grief these people? You're an ass. Stop that. I don't care who you are. That's ridiculous. And I've seen so much of it lately. I've seen it in game myself. I've seen it on the forums. It's been going on Reddit for years. And I don't understand the mentality, and I never will, right? I just don't. Nobody in this community gets to dictate to somebody else how they get to have fun. I consider, to me, like, I don't enjoy Battleship, right? Like, just, it's not that it's a bad class. It's just, it's not going to be the first thing I reach for. I enjoy them less than the other classes, okay? That doesn't mean I think they deserve to be deleted. That doesn't mean I think they're scum. That doesn't mean I think I'm going to go out and harass every Battleship player I see. If somebody else chooses to have fun by playing Battleship, let them. Let them play their game. I'll play mine. Like, I don't care. It's fine. Anyways, that's been kind of dragging me down lately. I kind of need to get that off my chest, because I feel like I could just sit here and go on for a while, and I simply don't understand the mentality. So, guys, if that's you, if I've triggered you, if I've hit a hot button issue for you, man, all I can say is, go look in the mirror. Like, what's, I don't know what it is that's causing this rage or this massive disconnect. But please don't feel like you have the moral authority to dictate how other people get to have fun, because that's not the case, and it should never be the case. And I'll just stop talking about that now, because I could go on for a while. Actual boats news. New patch coming up soon. 9.7 should be right around the corner. They've had some content announcements recently. We got a new list this morning. Let me go pull this up of they're making some changes to some ST ships. I saw Paolo Emilio on that list. They were changing the smoke. Palmer got her Sigma dropped yet again. So they're still tweaking some of these ships that are probably coming soon. Balance changes in 9.7 mostly seems to be, they're adding fighter consumables to some of the mid-tier battleships. That's Colorado and Nagato that have never had access to them. On their base hull, they didn't have access to them. They're giving Hydro to Tier 4 stock hulls, which sounds like kind of a weak sauce thing, but I love it, actually, because I've always thought it was bizarro that you had to get the B hull on a Tier 4 ship to get access to Hydro. They're adding... let's see what else we got in here. Yeah, Hydro. Okay, all right. So just some minor changes there. They've announced kind of 9.8, so we're not even to 9.7 yet, and they're already making announcements for 9.8. 9.8 will be the 5th anniversary patch. All kinds of good stuff in here. We know now that this is how you will be able to earn Tier 8 American Premium USS Anchorage. Is going to be the next dockyard event ship now once Odin ends. Remember, guys, Odin is ending this patch, so if you're trying to wrap up your Odin, that's coming very, very soon. Then we'll have about a patch off, like a patch without a dockyard event, and then starting in 9.8, there'll be a dockyard event starting for Anchorage. And I really love this, because I look at Anchorage, I can't wait to play this ship. She looks like a really nice mix of things in terms of, the Fletcher torps, the American heavy cruiser guns, the A. Well, she doesn't really have her A is kind of so-so, but the smoke. I look at the ship and I'm like, I really want to try this ship out. So I'm cautiously optimistic that she's going to be a lot of fun. Either way, you'll be able to earn her through the dockyard, and of course, they're sticking with kind of the like the New Year's camos that we had last time, were kind of the one size fits all. You can apply you're in this generic New Year's permanent camo. You can give it to basically any high tier ship you want. They're doing this for what they're calling the epochal camos that are coming in that patch. You'll be able to assign those, I think, to any tier 9 ship. If I've read the patch notes correctly, that's how it works. You'll be able to pick a tier 9 ship and assign that camo to it. And then they had 2 new ships announced just from scratch yesterday. And that is USS Oklahoma, Tier 5 American battleship, USS Oklahoma. Which, I mean, if you're an American Standard fan, you're happy. I suppose I saw some tweets for some people that were all excited for this, and I just kind of went, eh. But the one I am excited for, of course, is the announcement for Tier 8 British cruiser Belfast 43. So, of course, the Belfast we have in the game right now at Tier 7 represents her late war configuration. After she had, I believe she struck a mine and spent about a year in refit when she came out of the yard. And, of course, that's the configuration she sits as a museum ship today, is the one we have in the game. No torpedoes and so on. What they're doing now is they're taking, they're going to go back in time. They're going to put into the game a premium version of Belfast that was basically her launch configuration. So she's going to look more similar to Edinburgh in the tech tree. She will still, of course, have surveillance radar. She'll get her torpedoes back since Edinburgh has those in the tech tree. And she will have surveillance radar, similar to what Edinburgh has, and all this stuff. But she's going to get the short duration like British destroyer smoke. So there's and she gets catapult aircraft. So there's definitely some different things about this ship that I like. But the biggest thing that I like about this ship is that Belfast is one of the most iconic museum ships in the world. I mean, she's right there on the Thames. You know, millions of people live in London. If you travel to London and you walk the Thames, you can't help but see this ship. She's beautiful. She's a great museum. And we haven't been able to sell her for like 3+ years in World of Warships because her balance is all screwed up. Now, blessedly, they're using kind of the idea of what they did with West Virginia to kind of, okay, we're going to take an existing hull, we'll make some tweaks to it, we'll name it with that 43, and then we'll try again and see if we can get the balance right so that we can then sell the ship and have it available for players. And I'm stoked for this because, yes, Belfast is OP, but she is fun to play. But for me, it's more about players in this game have always loved and wanted those iconic museum ships, right? That's how so many players connect to the game. Oh, I've been to that ship. I went there as a kid. I went there with my family. I went there with my grandfather. My grandfather served on this ship, whatever. And now it's in the game, and I can play it, and that's kind of my little way of having fun while paying tribute to that aspect of my history, whatever that is, however that ship has impacted your history. And so to me, personally, the museum ships are such a big deal having them available for sale and available in the game. And I'm glad that Belfast is going to be returning in some fashion. Obviously, we'll have to spend some time in testing, make sure they get the balance right. We don't want another OP monster releasing like we had at Tier 7. But I'm cautiously optimistic now. They've got better tools to help avoid those kinds of problems anymore. So that's nice. What else is going on? I haven't talked in a while, but I suppose I should mention, of course, the Anchors Away tour here on the U.S. continues to remain on hold. That shouldn't really shock anybody. I honestly think at this point I'll be floored if any Anchors Away tour events happen at all in 2020. If they do, they'll come very late, I suspect, in the year, maybe November. I think the December event is aboard USS Lexington down in Corpus. So that's, maybe a possibility. We'll see. So, yeah, that probably covers all the stuff that I really, really want to talk about, guys. I do appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for listening to me ramble a little bit. Just be good to each other. Guys, we're a great community. Let's keep it that way. Wash your hands, be safe out there, and I'll catch you next time.